Hello and welcome to another show stuffed with some big stories across multiple sports. I'm Dip Dipianco.
And I'm Camille Claren. Today we focus on some international and collegiate hoops, and we hear an exciting development in the world of badminton. This is Starting Lineup.
JD! Puts it on top and hits it nice in the back of three.
Gold medalist and Olympic champion from Europe.
Well, our young guns are fighting hard to secure a slot in the quarterfinals of the FIBA Under-16 Asia Cup. So here to break down how exactly they got there is our basketball analyst, Diego Dario Jegs. Welcome to the show. And of course, I brought someone with me to help me out with some hoops talk here. We have CC joining us. Jegs, to talk about the performance of our Gilas team Under-16 right now. Nakover mo sila in Siaba, back in Pampanga. Were there things that you saw during that tournament that they're able to carry over so far in the 3 games that they've played in Mongolia?
Well, if you take a look at their lineup, they kind of stuck with the lineup. That's usually how it happens when you win the Siaba going to FIBA Asia Cup. But, you know, they've won 1 game out of 3. And so far, they're trying to fight for 1 more game to make it to the quarterfinals. And just a quick fact, like, no Under-16 team has failed to make it to the quarterfinals. So this is going to be a very big upcoming game for our Batang Gilas team.
Yeah, so with that win that they have, what are some positives that you think they could carry over into this game against Bahrain?
Well, against Indonesia, that was a very, very close one. 65 to 60, if I'm
5
not
points
mistaken. And Indonesia also, you know, gave Batang Gilas a hard fight during the Siaba tournament here in the Philippines. So, you know, when you're talking about these Under-16 players, you know, it's the first time they're going to be playing outside of the country. First time they're going to be traveling, maybe experiencing jet lag as well. But you know, when you talk about the players, you know, Prince Carino has been the most consistent player for Batang Gilas so far. And he's been the leader of this team, averaging around 12 points per game and 7 rebounds. He's a 6'7", you know, big man for Gilas. But he doesn't play like a big man. You know, he can work his way from the outside to the inside. He has that soft touch, maybe 10 to 15 feet. So he's definitely the future for Philippine basketball.
I was going to ask, I think the first exposure that you've played also for Batang Gilas, Jegs, and I believe this is one of their first experiences abroad, di ba? Yung FIBA Asia Cup. So, sino pa yung players na tingin mo nagta-thrive right now despite it being probably their first international experience? Aside from Prince Carino, sino pa?
Well, definitely Orca. He's a 6'2" guy from UE. I think he was inserted into the lineup here just for FIBA Asia Cup. He was in and out during Siaba. But this Orca kid, he's an undersized forward for Batang Gilas, but averaging 9 rebounds per game. He's 9th in the league. At 6'2", that's tough against the best in Asia. So definitely something to look out for. And that's what we want here for the Batang Gilas team, right? You know, the coaches will be looking at who's going to be the future, who's going to be recruiting these guys for college, right? And they're showcasing what they can do, not just in the country, but outside against the best of Asia. So, you know, these 2 guys, of course, the other guys like Justin Halyare, like guys like
Juniors
Travis
MVP.
Pascual, Juniors MVP, Travis Pascual, these are already, you know, high caliber players in the juniors division. And, you know, they're just waiting for that moment to step up here in the international stage.
Yeah, with this game against Bahrain, I think there's going to be a lot of key points that they need to focus on. You want to elaborate on how you think they could get that win?
Well, definitely they have to watch out for 2 players. Namely, that's going to be, you know, when you're talking about Bahrain, we haven't lost to Bahrain. So that's a good sign for Under-16. And, you know, talking about the history of Batang Gilas, you know, they don't want to be, you know, the first team out of the quarterfinals. So, you know, history is looking good for us. We haven't lost against Bahrain, but 2 players I want to take a look at is Abdul Kadir, who's averaging 22 points per game for Bahrain, and Ondu Neji, if I said it right, 20 points. So that's already 40 points right away for Batang Gilas. If they try to slow these 2 down, I think they're going to have a good chance. But when you take a look at our Gilas team, we're not the tallest when it comes to the ceiling, but the height of our players are very close to each other. So it's like, you know, maybe Carino at 6'8", and then we have like forwards who are 6'4", 6'3", and not really a lot of players under 6 feet. So maybe they can switch a lot against these bigger guys.
Yeah, use the pressure. I mean, you
Yeah.
know how it is, height over height, especially,
Exactly,
right? I
exactly.
think we just need to play to our key
For sure.
advantages, and I think you can see that with the Philippine style
Right.
of
And
basketball.
you've played against, in the international
Yeah.
stage also, CC.
Always undersized.
Sometimes that's what it takes. All the X's and O's, all the tactical stuff. Sometimes that goes out of the game, and it comes to who wants it more.
Yeah.
Who has the heart.
Especially, it's going to be their first time playing international,
Right,
really.
right,
Like,
right.
the nerves are there, but once they're on the court, they play with each other. I'm sure the heart will come out.
Now, speaking of, how do you get rid of that? I mean, in the previous matches with Bahrain, twice we've won over them, but that was a long time ago, back in 2009, 2015. Pero ito, ano yung pwedeng gawin ng Batang Gilas para siguro, I mean, take advantage because also Bahrain is coming from back-to-back losses.
Right. Well, definitely they have great coaches with them there.
Yes.
Of course, Coach L.A.
Yeah.
Tenorio. I mean, he's a legend. He's gone through all the stages from high school, college to the pros, and even the international stage. So I'm sure he's guiding them. All these players are learning from him, being a sponge. Just but sometimes experience is the best teacher. Like you can't really say that, the nerves have to come out when it comes to the big game. Sometimes you have to embrace the nerves,
sometimes
right?
the nerves are what make you good. They will
Exactly.
make you get that extra edge.
Exactly.
Well, we're talking about the games, right? And of course, the end goal is to qualify.
Yep.
But also, this is a tournament where we can see the potential also of players
course.
moving forward. And these are probably guys that we can see in the senior team in the future. So your thoughts about just them developing in general as a whole?
Well, when you take a look at under-16 players, you can see some players that are already ready for the next level just because of their athleticism, their height.
Yeah.
But one thing you can take a look at also is their skills. Their skill level, there's always something to improve on. And that's what's very important for these young guys is to just keep improving no matter who they're up against, whether they're playing here in the Philippines or in the international stage. And, if they beat this Bahrain team and make it to the quarterfinals, that's going to be another challenge for them because they're going up against China, who's undefeated in the league. But, we Filipinos, we don't back down from any challenge.
Yeah. And we can't wait to see them, of course, face Bahrain and hopefully get the win to advance to the quarterfinals. As we mentioned, we had made onting pressure because we've always advanced to that stage. But Jegs, we'll switch to a different topic after this. We have more basketball talk after the break, so stay tuned. You're watching Starting Lineup.
Welcome back to Starting Lineup. We shift our attention to some superstars returning to the UAAP after serving their residency period. Still here with us to tackle the exciting developments is UAAP analyst Diego Dario.
It's getting near. It's
Yeah,
already
let's
2
go.
weeks ago.
Let's
Listen,
go.
2 weeks. I can't imagine that UAP is here and I'm not playing.
Right, and there's so many players that we're looking forward to seeing returning, right, CC?
Right? I think the transferees right now, they've
gotta
served
talk
their
about the
residency.
transferees.
You have to.
Well, I mean, when you talk about the transferees, first name that comes up to mind is Ray Remogat. We haven't seen this guy in the UAP, in a year or two.
Yeah.
But, it's going to be exciting because, coming off a championship with Kagulangan leading the way last season, now you have this new guy in Remogat coming from UE trying to lead a championship team, which is going to be tough, right?
Tough.
His
That's
averages
true,
were 16.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, and almost 8 assists when he was with UE.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair to expect him to have the same numbers because it's a totally different team and he's not going to be the focal point on offense. But that also doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to be valuable for this team.
Right.
He's always going to be a threat. He's a great playmaker. And a different look when it comes to comparing him and JD Kagulangan, talking about being the main point guards of this team.
Right, we're seeing highlights of Ray Remogat back in his Red Warrior days. He played 2 years there. As you mentioned, sat a year out, but now, what could change for Ray Remogat in terms of the style of play? As you mentioned, hindi ganong kapareho yung role niya kasi ang lalim ng UP.
Right.
So what could he do this season?
Well, when I watched the preseason games of UP, you can still see the previous Ray Remogat in him, but more of a facilitator. And, he's letting go of that ball more because you have a lot of creators in UP, talking about Harold Alarcon, guys like Jerry Abadiano, but he's not getting the same volume of shots and he's not handling the ball all the time.
Yeah.
But you can still see the decision makings there, a great point guard.
Yeah.
And defensively, he's trying his best to go up against these bigger, tougher guards in the UAP.
Yeah. Now we move to Taft. I think aside from Katipunan, we have a lot of movement in
Biyahe
Taft.
tayo, biyahe.
So with Mason Amos, what are your thoughts on what his role is going to be?
Well, you mentioned Katipunan. He basically traveled from Katipunan to Taft. He took the LRT. But
The LRT too, all the
when
way
you
down.
talk about Mason Amos, it's going to be a very different look, I think. We're not going to be seeing these numbers, talking about Mason, 8 points per game and 3 rebounds. I think he's going to be utilized more in LaSalle because offensively they love those kinds of bigs wherein they shoot from the outside. He's taking more shots also in the preseason. And, he's having more minutes. That's basically it compared to his Ateneo days wherein Mason was maybe getting around 15, 16 minutes per game.
Yeah.
So limited touches for Mason and Ateneo, but I feel like in LaSalle, he's getting utilized more offensively rather than defensively.
You see him taking somewhat the role of KQ. Alam natin, this is the first season without Kevin Kiambao. So Mason Amos also had a stint in Japan where they had the tournament, made it to the finals. But do you think pwede niyang punan yung role na yan ni KQ? In a way, kasi nga, I'm sure first year niya with LaSalle, may mga expectations yung mga tao.
Of course.
I think when it comes to putting that ball in the basket, I think yes, he's definitely a high shot maker percentage-wise from the outside. He also has that post game. But I think it's tough to say that he's going to be like, the next KQ or he's going to be also a playmaker because it's not. This is a totally different LaSalle team wherein they have guards like, Jacob Cortez and Kian Baclan who we're going to be talking about later on. But, it's not going to be centered around Mason Amos. It's still going to be guard heavy, which is a totally different case from last season of LaSalle wherein KQ was the main playmaker.
Yeah, you mentioned Kian Baclaan, so another transfer from NU.
Right.
What do you think his role is going to be, especially now that they have a two-guard? It's almost like a two-point guard back to that lineup.
Well, honestly, when I heard about the news of Jacob Cortez and Kian Baclan playing together, I thought Kian was going to be, the typical type of point guard where he's going to bring down the ball, going to be the playmaker, and give Jacob Cortez more shots. But that's not the case. in the preseason, he's taking the shots.
Yeah.
He's staying true to his game, those step back jumpers. Even when there's a hand up, he's still gonna make those kinds of shots. And I think Kian Baclan is gonna be one of those guys wherein when it's clutch time, when it's crunch time in the UAP, he's not gonna be afraid of those moments and getting that ball, making something happen, and even making those big shots. I think he has that confidence in him, that dog in him.
That's practically having a CC or Diego Dario in your team, di ba?
More like a CC.
Someone who can,
the
of
winning
course,
mentality.
get the clutch shot, get the shot for the win. But speaking of his confidence, saan mo nakita yung level of confidence niya? I mean, from NU, do you think in this break for Kian Baclan, umangat palalo? Kasi we're seeing highlights also what he's been doing off-season. You think pagdating ng UAAP, it's a notch higher pa for Kian Bakla?
Well, when you talk about Kian, you can just see that he loves the game. Whether he's playing in the preseason games, whether he's playing Ligang Labas, or he's playing with his friends, he has the same type of competitiveness, whether he's up against a UAP guy or someone from his barangay. We can see like he's not letting his guard down, and that's the type of point guard that usually thrives in the UAP because you kind of need that kind of confidence to show up in the big stage, especially in the UAP.
As a point guard, do you see anything he might run into, any struggles he might come into when it comes to UAAP?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, in the UAP, there would be games, and CC, for sure you know this, that you would have a slump. Maybe one or two games that you would maybe just make one shot out of 9, one shot out of 10. And he takes a lot of shots. And I think that's going to be one of his challenges, right? You know, in NU before, like, it doesn't matter if he takes those
Green
kinds
light.
of shots, he has all the green light. But here in LaSalle, he has so many different teammates wherein, okay, if I'm not shooting the ball very well, what can I do to contribute
How do you
to
still
the
be
team?
effective?
That's going to be the challenge for him, becoming that true point guard. And also, leading up to the next game, he has a bad game, how does he bounce back right away? Because UAP, you just play, 14 games, and you can have multiple bad games if you want to win a championship.
And he might run into big guys such as this one, Colin Sakoe, who's not really coming back but moving up from NU as well. Now will suit up for the Growling Tigers. What can you say about yung expectations natin for Colin Sakoe? He was dominant back in high school.
Well, technically, you can call him still a transferee, of course, coming from the NU program now for UST, but you've seen him. I've seen him in the preseason leagues, and he's huge. Even coming from the high school level, he doesn't have a problem with the physicality.
Yeah.
He's not having a problem with the height because he's already big. But I think when it comes to development and skill, you can see that he needs work on maybe putting the ball down the floor, finishing through contact. But you can see that he has that desire of trying to get better. But, you know, he's had some 20-point, 20-rebound games in the preseason as a freshman.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good sign for UST because, you know, he has 5 years to play. That's going to be tough.
And definitely a welcome sight for UST, who did not have a foreign student athlete last season. So malamang maraming minutes yan si Collins Akoy. What else can we expect just in general for UAAP Season 88? Less than 2 weeks, or less than 3 weeks rather, opening ceremony and then games na sa UST.
Hey, it's going to be very exciting. I mean, UP LaSalle's up there already, of course, always, you know, contending for that championship. But we have a lot of dark horses.
I was going to say, there are some sleepers this year.
A lot of
you can't
sleepers, right?
say that somebody's like the sure favorite, which every year you can't really. But.
Exactly. Especially like, you know, that Final Four. You know, you have NU there, always a dark horse.
Always a dark horse.
They have their FSA coming back. You have UST, as we mentioned, Colin Sakoe is there. We haven't seen Ateneo in a lot of preseason games, and I feel like they're hiding.
I feel like they're hiding. Yeah.
Right?
There's something in the bag. I've heard.
So, you know, a lot of these teams have something, you know, prepared for the upcoming season, and it's going to be so exciting this season.
And we can't wait. We can't wait to pick your brains as well. Come UAAP time, guys. See you in less than 3 weeks for UAAP Season 88. Thank you, Jegs, for breaking down all FIBA and UAAP with us. All right, we move over to some badminton news after the break. Stay tuned. You're watching Starting Line. Welcome back to Starting Lineup. College badminton fans have a lot to look forward to as the Philippine Inter-Collegiate Badminton Champions return for its 4th season on September 5 to 7. And here with us to talk about the tournament are PBAD Head of Development Sir Melvin Nubla. From the UP Badminton Squad, we have Kimberly Lau, JM Estrada. And from the De La Salle College of St. Benilde, we have Maxine Bercilia and Aaron Alonzo. Sir, guys, welcome to Starting Lineup. Thank you for joining us tonight. So let's talk about this tournament that you're having in a couple of days, which UP will be defending the title. We'll ask them about that later on. But Sir Melvin, this is the 4th time you're staging this tournament. And as you mentioned off air, this is the only preseason tournament where we have all the schools, all the colleges and universities go at it. So what makes this 4th edition? Is there anything new that we're having? And I'm sure palaki na ng palaki yung sport dito sa Pilipinas.
Correct. So this tournament is organized by the Philippine Badminton Association, right? And we're very proud of this tournament because it's the only preseason tournament, as you said, no? Because you have the UAAP coming, you have the NCAA coming, right? And this is the only tournament where it's a mixed team format, meaning you have men's singles, women's singles, men's doubles, women's doubles, and the mixed doubles. So all 5 events. And then it's open to all universities or colleges nationwide. So this is the only tournament where you would see NCAA schools and UAAP schools in one tournament.
Crossover talaga.
Talagang crossover siya, no? You mentioned this is going to be the fourth time that we're going to have this one. And this time it's bigger in terms of the number of schools. We're happy to say we have a total of 16 schools this year. We have 6 schools from UAAP, we have 4 schools from NCAA, and we have newcomers, first-timers here. So we're really excited for this tournament.
So Kimberly, I'm going to ask you. So this is the 4th time, right? This tournament has gone. So it's also going to be the 4th time to defend the title. What's the value of this tournament for you guys, for UP?
For us, since we're aiming for 4-peat, it's not an easy task for us since everyone is gunning for championship. So I think it's gonna be a great opportunity for everyone. It's for us, it's a way to improve and showcase our talents.
JM, kamusta yung atmosphere sa ganitong tournament? As Sir Melvin mentioned, ito yung tournament na nandyan lahat ng schools. Can you describe to us ano yung energy sa loob ng arena kung saan kayo naglalaro kapag ganito yung klase ng tournament?
Ano po, sa amin po parang kasi dahil pang 3rd champion na namin, parang sanay na kami po sa mga pressure, ganyan. Alam na po namin yung gagawin namin. Pag kinakabahan yung mga players, dapat chini-cheer, ganyan. And dapat tapang lang po talaga sa court.
At nga, siguro ngayon, targets are on your backs dahil 4th title lang gusto niyong makuha. Tanong natin yung mga nasa likod, na challengers, di ba?
Right, the NCAA champs, you know, you guys are going to be able to face off these UAAP schools. So what are you looking forward to being able to play against teams that you may have not looked at before?
It's a good opportunity for us to face against the UAAP. Siyempre, it's a crossover tournament. And hopefully, we can get a better spot right now for this year. Since we have gotten the 3rd place for 2 seasons straight sa Intercollegiate. And hopefully, we can get a better...
Please. Maxine, is this your first time joining this tournament or babalik ka rin for pang-ilang stint mo na to in this?
My 2nd time.
Second. So what are you looking forward to this time now that you've experienced it last year? This time around, what do you think are you looking forward to or ano yung gusto mong ma-achieve this time around?
Same po with Kuya. Since this is our 2nd time and our spot last year was only bronze, so of course, just like all of the teams, we prepared and we've really gotten ready for this. So I really hope that this season we can have a better performance and better result this year.
So, Sir Melvin, what do we get out of this tournament aside from seeing the action from all the schools? May times na ba na nakakuha tayo ng ng players that we could potentially be part of the national team? Nagiging scouting ground din ba itong ganitong klaseng tournament? Or more of preparation talaga for the collegiate leagues?
Well, it's both. One is talent identification as well, because we see all the top schools in one tournament, right? So we can see all the potential players and identify, baka ito, we can move them up to the national team eventually, or we can invite, right? From the schools naman, again, it's a preparation for them, right? And one thing to note, CSB is a champion last year for the men's, right? UP is a champion for women's in the UAAP. So you're going to see the top teams in the UAAP, in the NCAA, and battle it out. Diba? Kung sino talaga yung magiging best na college and university in the country coming from this tournament. So it's really going to be very exciting.
Alam ko, bakbakan yung magiging action dyan, and iba rin yung excitement. Kimberly, maybe you can just invite some of our viewers, the fans, to join you and watch you guys in that tournament.
To our fans and badminton fans out there, we are inviting you to watch and support us in this coming Intercollegiate Badminton at Mia Sports Center on September 5 to 7.
Yeah, couple of days, and this will also be aired, by the way, on One Sports Plus and on the Pilipinas Live app. Pero syempre, maganda rin yung nandun sa venue, di ba? Para marinig natin yung mga sigawan sa mga smash. Yun yung abangan natin. Alright, thank you so much, guys, Sir Melvin and the rest of our players. Good luck in the tournament in a couple of days, and maraming salamat for your time. Alright, thank you for joining us. I'm Dip Dipianco.
And I'm Camille Claren. This is Starting Lineup.